Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you to We'll Bring the Popcorn, the ultimate film and TV podcast.
On today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Zootopia 2 and Part 1 of Stranger Things Season 5.
Well, it's been 9 years since Zootopia came out, which is still kind of crazy to me that it's been that long between the original and the sequel. It came out in 2016, the same year as Stranger Things Season 1, but it actually only picks up about a week or so after the first one. Now, we don't really get a solid timeline on when Zootopia 2 takes place. You just get Judy says in the film that they've been partners for a week, but there's Police Academy and other stuff, but it's fairly close to the timeline of the first one. And we pick up where the Linksley family are showing off this book as kind of the details of how they created the walls to be able to create the different weather environments for all the animals to be able to live. But a snake shows up to try to steal the book, and we kind of unravel this mystery throughout the film around the reptiles and why we haven't seen them and what's going on with the Linksley family. And it was fun overall. It's a very quick-hitting, quick-moving movie. It doesn't take too much time. Like the first one, you're setting up the relationships, and that Judy is a little bunny who can't be, bunnies aren't police officers, and she's trying to make a name for herself. But this one just really kicks straight into it. Well, yeah, we got this case, we got this things that need to be looked at, and Judy and Nick are just like, all right, we're going to go out and solve it right away. And it just unfurls from that. It really doesn't waste any time.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because you kind of jump right into it. You don't need to do any additional world building here because you did all of it in the first movie. It doesn't take a break, and I kind of appreciate that because it's a rapid fire. It's a rapid fire movie that moves very quickly. I mean, you not even getting into all of it. There are so many cameos in this film of just a bunch of different characters in here, and I kind of like what they're doing with the world of Zootopia because you could tell this is obviously set up to be like a multi-film franchise at this point because the first film did so well. Like the second one, you're getting the introduction of reptiles, and we'll get a little further along of what could be coming in Zootopia 3 that's teased at the end of the film, but I like how they're slowly introducing more different types of animals into this. And this one is heavily focused on the Linksleys and the reptiles in this one specifically, and why they're all so afraid of them, or at least have been made to believe that they should be afraid of them. It's kind of a fun story, but man, like you said, it doesn't take any time to just jump right into it and they go. And in my opinion, I think it picks up and even takes another step in the charm and the creativity of the film itself. Like the first one is kind of become like a classic Disney film at this point. Like it became super, super popular, and we can talk about it at the end as to how well this film is already doing and is going to do at the box office wise, because it's pulling insane numbers just from this holiday week, which we kind of thought was going to be the case. But yeah, man, I had a lot of fun with this one. This one was, rapid fire with the jokes, the humor, and the heart that you get from the first one. It's all here in this one and done in, once again, another really, really solid way.
Yeah, this movie kind of felt like a kitchen sink. They were just throwing in every, cameo and actor. You've got CM Punk and Roman Reigns from the wrestling world that pop in here. You got Alan Tudyk as being 3 or 4 different characters. Of course, he was the Weasel in the first one, and I'm not sure if he did any more in the first one past the Weasel, but he's credited for 5 different voices in here. You've got Danny Trejo in a fun little cameo with
so funny.
His character. You've just got even Robert Irwin, and you just so many different characters. Even a really a lot of them are blink and you miss it type of cameos, especially Michael J. Fox's, which I really hope a lot of people caught because it was such a fun Back to the Future reference for him. But I mean, it was there and gone in 2 seconds. It was really quick. I didn't expect it to be that fast, but it was still fun to kind of hear him again and also hear it be a very much a Back to the Future reference when he did it. But yeah, this was fun, but at sometimes a breakneck pace did, I think, hamper it a little bit, but it just didn't waste any time. It went very quick because we get Gary the Snake shows up, voiced by Ke-Huy Quan, who is just fantastic. He was the right voice for the snake because he's still got that childlike innocence to his voice, even though he's in his 50s, 60s now, that he's, much older, but he's got that just kind of that hopeful innocence in his voice that just works so well for the snake character because, the majority of this movie revolves around Well, everyone believes that the reptiles killed a turtle back in the day, and that's why reptiles are not a kind of part of Zootopia anymore. They've been banished to their own island, and they're not allowed to be. But Gary the Snake is trying to prove that his family, that reptiles were not responsible for it, that it was actually the Lynx's family who was behind everything, and they're trying to kind of unravel this mystery behind exactly what's going on with reptiles, the lynx, and all that. And yeah, it gets you some really, there's a lot of innuendo jokes in this as well, even
Very
like
heavy,
with
yeah.
Dwayne Johnson's character who plays a dick in this, and they make sure they beat that one to death. And you've got a lot of Disney and Pixar references in here, along with Indiana Jones and Star Wars, and just kind of making fun of all their properties in it, which was a lot of fun to see. Like, I really want to watch this again when it comes out on digital, just so I can try to find and figure out any of those special jokes that I might have missed.
Yeah, and it goes by so quick. It's just, but I like that pacing, and I like that way of telling the story. Like, it's just really fun, and it moves super quick. Like, I got a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I love like Jason Bateman as Nick in this. I think Nick gets a lot of time to shine with like the humor that he has and everything. Like, he really steps forward in this as kind of a standout character during the movie for me.
His sarcastic tone
Yeah,
plays perfectly in it.
It fits so well with the tone of the film. I think that was perfect casting, and I can't help it. Like, when you know a certain character is voicing a character, and you see their mannerisms and like the way he has that smug smile. Like, I can see Jason Bateman when they do that. So hats off to the like animation team for giving that visual there.
Like the windshield wiper joke, like I felt that was Jason Bateman.
You could
doing
absolutely
that bit.
tell it was Jason Bateman doing it. Like, it was so good and so well done, and they really lean into the personalities of the people that are doing the voicing in it. Like, obviously you get Patrick Warburton in there, and anytime he's in anything, his voice is unmistakable, and he's one of my favorite voice actors. Like, and just actors period, and him coming through as the mayor in so many ridiculous spots was really fun as well. Like, it's just a really well done movie, man. I've got no real complaints on it. It's not a perfect movie by any sense. Like you said, sometimes the pacing does kind of cut down on the heart as much of the story because it moves so quickly, but the heart's still there and done well in a big way in this. It really was well done.
Yeah, it kind of hammers that heart home at the end. Like, you've got underlying layers that, Judy and Nick still really don't understand how to be police officers correctly. They don't know how to work together correctly because Judy is still very overbearing and takes control of every situation. It's not what they want to do as partners. It's what Judy wants to do. Well, I cannot allow this case to go unsolved without me handling it. I have to do it. Right. But you get that growth towards the end, which pays off really well. And I don't know why it made me crack up so much, but Gary is a viper, so he's poisonous, and he carries an anti-venom pin with him, but it has that little kid voice that says, "Stab me directly in the heart." Like, every time so that funny. Pin talked, it just made me cackle, just because it's like, it's so dark, but done in such a light and airy way. Like, okay, yeah, this is where they're going. There's just so much of that balance. You even get, Flash coming back, which you can pick apart, Flash being the speed demon, because he could slowly get that acceleration going, but wouldn't his braking and his steering be so slow that he would crash immediately? But apparently when he's driving, it's fine. Yeah. And he can be a speed demon. But I mean, you didn't really care. You could nitpick it, but it's fun just to see Flash when he rolls in the window and he gets a slow smile, and they're calling on it. But yeah, like I said, it's so rapid fire. You don't have too long to sit with anything. But yeah, they really are with this one trying to build, after 9 years, finally starting to build potentially a new world that they could really do multiple sequels to. And after, apparently it's going towards $500 million globally for it came out a little early. It came out on Tuesday because of the Thanksgiving holiday weekend, but $500 million in a week especially for like an animated film or just for a release around Thanksgiving is insane.
Yeah, it's going to do huge box office numbers, and it's going to stick around for a little bit. I think, at least for maybe for a couple weeks, because we were talking about what we've got coming up and a little bit of spoiler stuff. Like Five Nights at Freddy's is next week, and that'll do okay. Like it'll do solid numbers, but I expect this to hold over at least until maybe Avatar comes out in a couple weeks. Like this could be number one for a few weeks running here, especially with people coming out of the holidays, and like you have the people that were very heavily leaning on going to the movies this week. And then you got a whole another wave of people that probably were too busy with family stuff to go see it that are going to go see it next week too. Like it's doing gangbusters at the box office. I went and saw it early Wednesday afternoon after I got off work. And my showing was, I think, only had maybe 2 or 3 empty seats in the whole place, and that's at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Like,
yeah, ours was packed Wednesday at 5:00.
Yeah, like it was super packed and awesome to see families going out and seeing it and enjoying it. But yeah, man, it just goes to show how popular this franchise is and why they're moving forward with multiple ones. But I gotta say, man, if they're gonna keep going with this, with the level of storytelling like we got in this one and the world building, and there's different ways you can go and introduce more characters, and more, by characters I mean more like species. It just lends itself to more creative storytelling that you could do over the course of several movies. And I think they've really found a really good, smart recipe for success here that's obviously paying off very well for them.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be another 9 years before we get another Zootopia. I mean, of course, animation takes time. They could potentially already be working on a third one. We don't really know. But I don't think it's going to take 9, especially after this box office. And there is a post-credit scene at the very end of the movie. There is a scene that sets up for another Zootopia film, which could be really interesting as well. But I do kind of hope it's maybe they pull back the rapid fire on that one, just because even though I enjoyed it with this one, especially for kids, I think it can be a lot. Like just how fast that they move through the story points and all the jokes and all the characters and stuff. It was very fast paced, which can be a good thing and a bad thing for kids, that they may not be able to, handle just how quickly everything's changing. You don't get a whole lot of time to sit in any one thing that they're doing, but again, they do it pretty well. There's plenty of kind of fighting back and forth between Nick and Judy because, again, it's been a week or two since the first film, so they really haven't had a ton of growth. I know Jennifer Goodwin talked about how originally there was going to be a multi-year time jump in between Zootopia 1 and Zootopia 2, and all that character development and building was going to be off screen, but they decided to kind of rein that in and, only take it a couple weeks away, which is, again, it does not feel like it's been 9 years since we got the first one, but I think it also helps you get back into that world a bit quicker when not a lot has changed in between.
Yeah, and it blew my mind because it feels like this was like a 2019, 2020 movie, maybe, really, and just can't believe it's been that long since the movie's been out. But yeah, I appreciate the fact that they just jumped right into it, because you have the next logical step in your story is how do they coexist as partners, right? Because that's what you were waiting to see, and the fact that they're still young and their partnership and learning and taking that growth and that step, which was kind of the central theme of this whole story, was them trying to figure out how to actually work together to be the best cops that they can be, because they go through the whole rookie cop, you're supposed to sit on the sidelines and observe and, learn from the more experienced group like the Zebros and some of the others. I just love the Zebros so much. They're so funny, and, but it was so funny. But you have them, like you said, you have Judy being the overeager, still trying to prove herself and prove that she belongs, and Nick is kind of that counterbalance to that, which I think makes them work so well together, because he's a lot more laid back and a lot more like, hey, we could do this, we could do it in style, and we could do it and be really good at it, but you got to rein it in a little bit with some of and them working to find that balance was a really well told story throughout this that I appreciated. But that was the next logical step in the story, and now that you've got them kind of on the same page here, becoming what essentially the best versions of themselves as cops, now you can go and take another step and do another story where it could be a little bit of a jump, maybe, if that's the direction that they're going. So I'm excited to see where they go forward with it.
We'll have to say the twist in the villain in this one is very obvious compared to the first. You didn't fully see that it was with the lamb who was into being the villain in the first one. This one was very obvious. You kind of felt it, saw it coming from a mile away. So it worked, but it was also very obvious that it just didn't surprise you in any way that that's what's happened. And there's also some other nitpicky stuff, especially like it's been like 100 years since that event happened where the snake killed the turtle, and all this has been unfolding, and the lynxes have been taking over and expanding the frozen tundra area because it all goes back into the animal instincts of those type of animals and everything else. But it leaves you towards the end. I'm not trying to spoil too much of it, but it's like there's so much stuff that they just left that if it's been 100 years, you think they would have gotten rid of and destroyed or demolished or done this other stuff, but everything is still like perfectly preserved and everything is like still there inside of control rooms and everything else. Like that was a little bit like, okay, we're just not even going to worry about trying to hide or tell, this in a different way. It's just magically going to still be like fully intact in there. And like, again, that's nitpicky stuff if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of the story. Again, it's a kid's movie. You don't really want to go that deep into it, but it's some stuff that afterwards I'm like, it was fun, but that was a little ridiculous that 100 years of time has passed, but like everything is still the same.
I mean, they probably wanted to preserve that area as a reminder for people of how awful the reptiles were, right? It's kind of part of the central story. That's what I gathered from it anyway, but I can see where you're doing that. But yeah, Brad, it's a kid's movie. You don't have to dive too deep into it there, but I get your point. Like, in practical terms, you're right, but I'm more forgiving of that in this movie.
It's
you know what I mean?
nitpicky,
Like it's a lot of fun. The humor it's a very, very funny movie. We were talking right before we started recording that the scene of Danny Trejo's character as the gecko, as the lizard, and him just running across the water, I was cracking up at, just because I know who the voice of the character is, and just imagining Danny Trejo, Machete, just kind of just running across the water like a gecko. You know what that visual looks like, and just pairing the two was just hilarious to me, and I couldn't get that out of my head.
I think I felt every parent in my theater cackling when that happened. Some of the kids were laughing, but it was mostly the parents.
Mostly the parents were just dying, and I was among them, not being a parent myself, but still, just that visual was just so fun. That one was definitely for the adults. And what I do like is they have that subtle, sometimes not so subtle for adults, like kind of flies over the kids' head humor that was pretty prevalent in this too. It was like, it's funny for everyone. Like the kids get their jokes, the adults get their jokes. And it was a good balance of both that I think they did very well in this movie.
Like I say, it's all very rapid fire. Like when we get to the kind of where the reptiles are staying, you get these jokes about the walruses coming up out of the water, and their speak is, hey bub, hey bub, hey bub, hey bub, hey bub. And it worked, even though it was silly and goofy over the top, because we haven't even talked, like Fortune Femster plays Nibbles Maplestick, which is kind of this YouTuber who's a conspiracy person, all about everything. She plays a central part in this because, that's how Judy and Nick end up finding the reptiles, because they need someone who, the reptiles aren't talked about. No one really pays attention or acts like they exist. There's just the horror stories that they've done all this stuff, and that's why they've been gone for so long, and they use her, and she's just so over the top the whole time, and has some pretty out there innuendo that I'm surprised they actually threw in there, because it's a beaver. There's some jokes that are very adult that come to it. Kids aren't going to get it. Adults got it, and it was funny, but I'm like, all right, they went there with some of these jokes.
I love that they're not afraid to go there, though, because the kids aren't going to get it, but the adults are like, pay attention, you'll have some fun with this too. Like it's pretty wild. But yeah, like I said, the humor was on point in this one. I laughed several times in this movie, and you know what? That's kind of what I was hoping to get out of it, was some of that humor with a good story, and I think they hit the nail on the head here. It's a really fun movie. I'd put it on par with the first one. I know we're gonna rank it here in a minute, but like, I enjoyed this one as much as I did the first one, which you can't always say once you get into follow-ups to movies like this, because sometimes the it's the follow-ons don't hit as well as the originals, and I think this one's right up there with it, honestly. Like, I had a really good time watching it.
Yeah, and you get Shakira returning with another good song with the zoo, and she actually did a music video where she dresses up as her character from it and stuff, which was pretty fun because she's a mom herself and everything, so that was pretty fun to see. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like, I still think I enjoy the first one better just because of the world building and the little bit slower pace, just because you can get to know the characters in the world and you're getting introduced to the biomes and everything for the first time. But this one was still, like, it had a lot of jokes. It went through its story rapidly, and Ke Huy Quan was a great addition to this universe that I want to see more out of. Gary the Snake, and it just pairing his voice with just the smile and stuff. Like, if you know me, I do not like snakes at all. Like, I had a event as a kid that petrified me as snakes ever since then, and I like Gary. Yeah. Even though I hate snakes. Like, but because Ke Huy Quan they just made him look so innocent and smiley and silly, and just his voice, just especially how he said his own name in this childlike manner, was just like, okay, that was the perfect guy to play Gary the Snake.
That's a snake you can get behind, really. But yeah, there were a lot of well done performances here. You know, hats off to Andy Samberg for playing Paubert Linksley. He was kind of the main links that you get in this, because he kind of plays that, is he a good guy, is he a bad guy kind of way, until it really, you know, the story turns the way that it turns. We're not getting too much into the plot specific stuff. You can go and watch the film and see exactly how it plays out, but it was kind of fun seeing him in a role like that. It was kind of a little outside the norm of a type of character that he normally plays, and you could tell he had just a ton of fun doing it. Obviously, Idris Elba back as the chief, you love that voice too. Like, he's phenomenal too. But yeah, so many cameos in a blink and you miss it. Like, that's what I love about animation sometimes, is you can just get so many people on board to do it, and the endless possibilities are on it. Because like you said, you had Macaulay Culkin and Brenda Song lending voices in it too. You had Ed Sheeran in there in a very brief appearance too. Josh Gad does a voice in it. You know, like, there's a ton of people that lent their voice to this, and it's fun when you can get there and just get that all-star cast. It always blows my mind when you see, like, these trailers for these animated movies, and it's just like big name, big name, big name, big name, big name, big name, like, all doing voices to it that you don't really get in a regular movie type setting. That just makes animation so special.
Yeah, so Zootopia 2 was a fun follow-up. It's been 9 years since the first one came out, but it didn't really miss a step. But it is very rapid fire. It does not sit in the story for too long. It just kind of goes through its pace. There's a ton of cameos, a ton of Disney, Pixar, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, innuendo jokes. Like, there's a ton of rapid fire stuff in it, but it was really fun. Like, there's some nitpicky stuff if you really want to look at the story and kind of what it did, and a very predictable villain in it. But overall, I had a really good time. My kids had a really good time. And if you watch any of especially our family reviews, I give extra points for, you know, my kids. So I'm going to give this an 8.5 overall. That I think it did a really good job. That even though it was so rapid paced, it was good for the most part. It did have a few issues because it was so rapid paced and didn't let you kind of just live in that world as much this time. It was just moving so much, but I still think it was a very solid, fun family film that my kids loved, and I enjoyed as well.
Yeah, it's so funny because it seems like we do this. We don't talk about our scores ever before we get into this. Like, this is always 100% genuine. So it's always funny when we're, like, really close to it, and it just speaks to how we view films the same way. I'm giving it an 8.5 too. Like, I really am. That's where I landed on it. I was texting with some friends after I seen it that, you know, were like, hey, I want you to review this, like, immediately. Should I go see this, like, during the holiday weekend right away before it gets spoiled for me? And I'm like, absolutely, go see it. It's a ton of fun. It moves very quickly. It's funny. It's got humor. It's a cute movie. Kids are going to love it. And there's jokes in there for the adults too, plenty of them. In fact, and it does move at a good pace. Like, this is one that, if you have, like, a kid that tends to, like, not focus too much, it keeps them occupied enough to where it doesn't linger, to where their mind can wander. And, you know, if you're worried about taking, like, if you have a kid that has, like, that type of personality, don't feel bad about taking them to this movie, because honestly, I had a packed theater when I saw this film full of kids, and they were into it the entire time. Like, it kept their attention, which not all movies are good at doing, and this one did a very good job of it. I had a lot of fun with this. I'm excited to check it out again when it comes out on streaming.
Oh yeah, I know me and my kids are going to be watching a lot, but I do plan to rewatch it even if it's on my own, because I want to see all those in jokes that I may have missed, because there's like movie posters and bootleg DVDs and stuff that have jokes, but just looking at things in the background, because there was like a Pixar Ratatouille joke that you kind of, it was very obvious, but it was one that just kind of like paused for a second and then moved on from it. Didn't really call it out by name or anything, but it was a lot of fun. It kept the kids entertained. They, of course, my youngest has ADHD, so she was able to kind of sit still through most of it. She doesn't always sit, too still. She's always moving and on the go, but yeah, they had quite a lot of fun. I had quite a lot of fun, and I really want to look through the credits too and just see how many big name actors they got in this, because there's at least 20 something that you could name right off the bat, but I'm sure there's others that we kind of missed, because like I said, most of these cameos are very quick hits. They're very like Michael J. Fox playing Michael J. the Fox. It was like a 2-second cameo, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was one that really, like, I talked to my kids about it. I don't know who that is. Like, they haven't had any interest in watching Back to the Future yet, so I failed as a father because of that. But they didn't get the joke, and I had to explain it to them a little bit. Like, we'll watch it Back to the Future here soon so you all can understand those jokes. But there's plenty for adults and plenty for kids in this film.
Yeah, go ahead and leave your shameful dad comments on our YouTube video and in our Discord, and let us know how Brad failed as a dad for not showing his kids Back to the Future. What are you doing? No, I'm just kidding. There's plenty of time for them to see that. But yeah, that was funny. It hit well, man. Like, I really dug this movie a lot. Like, it was a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed it even without kids, you know what I mean? Like, I had a lot of fun with it. Like I said, my big takeaway from it is always just the animation style of Nick and how it really fits perfectly with Jason Bateman and his humor and everything. Like, I think that played that so well for him. Just seeing that smirk on the fox and you just see Jason Bateman in it. It's such a job well done. And this film just, it's good, man. It's just good, wholesome, like fun that everybody in the family can get enjoyment out of. It's kind of a catch-all type humor and heart that, you could see why it's doing as well as it's doing in the box office. Like you said, it's on pace for a $500 million global haul, and it's doing better in other countries than like Avengers Endgame. And when you're in that atmosphere of success, you've got a hit on your hands, and I'm happy to see it for this film for sure.
Like, what movie dethroned Avengers Endgame in China? Zootopia 2.
It did better than that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and you can also tell because, like I said, it has been 9 years. The animation has gotten much better too. You can see the finer details in like Judy's fur and everything, and when there's sequences where they get wet, and you can see much more detail on the wet hair and the wet clothes, and you can just see just so much, like, it's so vibrant and colorful, and in just the animation looked fantastic, but you can tell just how much has improved, that they've been able to just do better. And they played on that because you got so many more close-ups to be able to show off the hair textures and all that stuff. Like, they really wanted to show off just how much better they've gotten, and the technology's gotten, and their skills have gotten to show off just those texture details in these characters.
Could not agree more. The animation was gorgeous, and it agreed. And I'm kind of beating myself up that we didn't mention that more while we were talking about the film, just on the content of the story. But yeah, visually, stunning movie. The animation on it is gorgeous. They really did a phenomenal job on this. One of the cleaner looking animated films I've seen in a while. Like, it really did a good job of capturing kind of like the quote unquote realism that you can get with talking animals and just the world building that they did. Just stunning visuals. Like, hats off to the animation team and the visual effects teams for putting that film together. Just a absolutely phenomenal job.
Zootopia 2 is in theaters now. Go check it out. Whether you have kids or not, it is a fun adventure film that can be enjoyed by adults, kids, parents, anybody. It's just fun. It's got so many in-jokes, innuendos, everything else. Like, kind of find it hard that you may not be able to find something that you don't like about this film.
Yeah, for sure. It's got a little something for everybody. If you go check it out, come to our YouTube video, leave a comment on there, come to our Discord, talk to us about it there. Love to talk about this film with you. It was one that scored very highly for us and very deserving of it.
We are now partnered with Dubby Energy. Dubby is a clean energy drink to give you focus with no crash or jitters like other energy drinks.
Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It also features 0 calories, no sugar, no fillers, and no artificial dyes.
From Dragonade and S'mores to Push and Punch and Galaxy Grenade, Dubby has a wide range of flavors for you to choose from.
Use code WBTP to save 10% off your Dubby Energy orders and look for a direct link in the audio and video descriptions. So now I want to move us into our TV review. We have finally part 1 of season 5 of Stranger Things. Now this show completely crashed the Netflix website for the first couple minutes of this coming out. As very obviously highly anticipated. I had issues for a couple minutes getting into it, but once we got into it, man, this picked right up after we left off of season 4 here. You've got the rift that's created in Hawkins where it looks like, there's some ambiguity on whether Vecna actually made it out because we didn't see the body at the end of season 4, but we have the hunt for Vecna to put an end to all of this is on, and it's on in full force. And man, I gotta say, when they jumped in, they did not miss a beat. Like, they were back at it. It's a little bit of a time jump here. I want to say it's roughly 18 months or so since the end of season 4. You have, the cast, the kids are advancing in their training, and they're kind of trying to have a little bit of a normal life as best they could while also preparing to, find Vecna, take him down. But you also have this ginormous military presence that's now prominent in Hawkins, obviously with the military showing up towards the end of season 4 as they start to hunt for 11 and, try to capture her. You have the very real threat of Vecna and what all's going on with that. But man, jumping into the first episode out the gate, they do not give us a chance to catch our breaths because it is pow right into the action right away when we jump into the first episode here.
Is you got the town has been quarantined. It's fenced off. They're really not allowed to leave. They've kind of patched the cracks with some steel plates, which is kind of a funny moment that they get kids who are like sliding down it on sleds and the military trying to chase them off. Like, okay, this is a crack into the upside down, like, and you're just sledding on it. And right. It just typical. But yeah, we're picking up around November 1987, which is 4 years in story time, because it's season 1, the event happened November 6, 1983, which is still very funny to me because that's my exact birthday. So that this, my birth happened to open up the upside down. So I'm Vecna apparently.
Apparently.
But yeah, they really hit it going because we're learning that the gang is kind of doing these secret crawls. The military kind of has a lockdown on not only the town but the upside down. So like if they want to do these crawls into them, which they've done almost 40 of them in these 18 months trying to find Vecna, they have to sneak in. They have to kind of utilize and it's kind of an interesting twist with things is that you not only have the military base and operations in the normal Hawkins, but they have a base and an operations within the upside down as well. So you're seeing this kind of different feeling and take on the upside down because the military are not as scared, not as, hesitant of going around the upside down as they were, because you still have the Demogorgons and some creatures around, but they're experimenting on them. You don't know where Vecna is. There's this giant mysterious wall that has appeared in the upside down that's kind of blocking off different parts of the town, and you're kind of trying to unravel that mystery and see. But you also have the kids are still trying to go through high school. You've got Robin and them doing the radio show, which you kind of learn is a secret way of them to pass messages along to the group and everything. But yeah, I think it was really strong overall. There's some things that I can nitpick at with the story that I'm wondering what's going on, because you do get a revisit of kind of like from season 1, there's these bullies that picked on Dustin and picked on the group, and they're kind of back in full force. And you kind of think after all this time and everything that's happening in the town that what is the significance of this? And the first 4, it didn't really touch on it. There's Dusty's still being secretive and not wanting to tell everybody what happened. And you think with just everything that they've been through, it wouldn't kind of be that way at this point.
Yeah, you would think so, but obviously we're getting into really heavy spoilery type stuff here. So if you haven't watched it, please go check it out. Well, you might be like one of the 5 people on the planet that haven't seen it yet, but it's so take that with a grain of salt, because we have to dive into spoiler stuff to talk about exactly what happens here, because there's so much going on. But one of the things that I really love about this show is it's leaning into Dungeons and Dragons, which is kind of in like it's a central heart of the story anyway. Obviously, the character Vecna is based on a D&D character as well, but like just how prominent D&D is, and they're going through what they call crawls, which is literally a dungeon crawl, which is something you do in D&D. It's just so fun to see those parallels play out in a story like this, and how Dungeons and Dragons is so prominently featured throughout this.
I love that they never lost
story.
that.
Yeah, it's been like a central theme, and I think we're far from being done with that, especially when you dig into what people are theorizing could be happening through the last 4 episodes that we're going to get in the next 2 parts, which can be kind of fun to talk about. We probably won't talk too much about that here, and we're not going to really prognosticate what's going to happen going forward, but man, you get so much going on here. And I got to say, man, some of the highlights for me in this whole season and the way the storyline is playing out is the end of episode 1 into the beginning of episode 2 was absolutely crazy, because you have, these Demogorgons are being sent to find these vulnerable, broken kids, right? So they're gathering. The kids are the heart of the entire story. They have been from the beginning. But you have these Demogorgons going and trying to kidnap these kids. Well, one of the kids that gets kidnapped right away, spoiler obviously in effect, is Holly, which is, Mike's little sister, who eventually is one of the girls that gets done. And that whole sequence of the Demogorgon kidnapping Holly to take her into the Upside Down, to take her to, where she winds up being, is just an insane sequence towards the end of episode 1 and into the beginning of episode 2, where it's just, they go full force with this. It gets dark, it gets violent, it gets graphic right away. Like, they do not hold back on that. And that was just kind of a gut punch into like what happens towards the end. And this is what I mean by not really getting to catch our breath, because you get, obviously what's going on with Dusty and his bullies is being played out here. You've got Max, who's still very much in a coma, and Lucas, who your heart breaks for the kid, just wants her to be okay and come out. And, he's constantly with her at the hospital when he's not at, not doing his stuff to try to help, find Vecna here. But man, like, there's just so much going on in this. And then you've got the whole relationship with, Nancy and Jonathan and Steve, kind of this love triangle type thing. Where's Nancy going to wind up in this? And I love the direction that they're going with those guys. It's kind of these machismo trying to one up each other in different ways. Like Steve trying to, outshine Jonathan and Nancy's eyes, and the fact that they both fail miserably and awkwardly in different ways. It's just so funny. It's a funny through line that they've been playing with throughout this for me. But yeah, that first episode ending was crazy, jumping into episode 2, because we're watching all 4 of these in succession when it came out, and you're just like, oh my God, where are they going with this? Like, they do not take a breath.
Yeah, and you get Karen, the mom, to actually get a good moment, because, I mean, she's been used a bit more than the dad in this series, because, of course, there was stuff with her and eventually cheating on her husband, right, and the relationship there and what it's going to be. And you got a new actress playing Holly, so she was in Evil Dead Rise, I believe it was. It really got her horror break, and she does really well in here, because most of the mystery and most of the stuff in this season, at least these first 4, revolve around her, because we get word that we get to see that she's talking to somebody, but we don't know who it is. So we're kind of bringing in this mysterious, unknown character that we end up finding out its name is Henry, which we dive into a bit more on exactly who that is. But I also want to touch on a point that I thought was really fun, is that there's a teacher, and it's the main teacher for Holly, that she kind of discovers as she's talking to somebody. She shows up later when kids are in a bunker and stuff as well. that is a Duffer Brothers actual teacher from their childhood. She was one that had an impact on their lives, and they wanted to bring her into it. So they gave her a role in the final season of Stranger Things to allow, a non-actor to be able to come in and, play this teacher and give her the 80s hair and let it go on. And I thought that was just a really nice touch that they had a teacher that did have, because it kind of played an impact. I went back and started rewatching Stranger Things up to, I got to season 3 before, these first 4 dropped. I'm still going to try to work my way through of rewatching here. But, their teacher who got them into the radios, and, that teacher was really important to the boys as they were going through, because he helped reinforce a lot of their loves and everything else, and he was really helpful to them. So it was nice to see them do that for the in characters, but also bring in something from real life into that, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, for sure. It was such a cool story to find out that that's who she actually was, and what role she has and everything. But yeah, man, we keep moving along with this story, and you jump into like what all's going on around the town, because you have a very heavy military presence in town, and they dive into a lot of that and who their leader actually is, because you have, the guy who was in charge of leading the group of people who were hunting down 11. Well, he answers to somebody, and it's played wonderfully by Linda Hamilton. So happy to see Linda Hamilton as Dr. K in this, and she's phenomenal in everything she does, but so stoked to see her back in something like this, because, outside, a lot of people remember from the Terminator franchise, obviously, but she's been in several other things too. But to see her in this is kind of like the leader of the military, quote unquote, bad guy side kind of thing. To see her really kind of owning that role was a lot of fun. She's not in it a ton in these first 4 episodes. You kind of see her kind of early on in episode 1, but don't really see her again until later. But it's so cool to see her back in the mix here. But yeah, you get them kind of moving on to, Holly's been captured, and now there's another kid who was kind of a bit of a bully to Holly in a way in this, and it's another character named Derek, who Derek, God love him, you wanted to absolutely hate this obnoxious kid. When you get introduced to him, he's like this bully and he's kind of a jerk, but then you come to find out, like, by the end of the season, everybody loves Derek now. He's delightful Derek now. I'm not going to say his other nickname that they had for him for most of this entire time, but he becomes delightful Derek by the end of this. Him
smacking the kids in the barracks and stuff just had me laughing, because he's still a little bit of a jerk.
Oh, a little bit,
but he's actually trying to help with the stuff. But it was it's one that you could hate this kid, but he ends up having a lot of charm to him and stuff that you hate him, but you like him. But yeah, a lot of this season, especially after episode 1, we really start dealing with the relationship between Hopper and 11. This plays a really big part in it, because Hopper is still very protective. If you know Stranger Things and you've been into it, Hopper had a daughter that he lost, that was lost before season 1, that we get that story on. And 11 has become his adopted daughter, and so he's willing to give up everything. He's willing to do everything, but he still isn't willing to allow her to risk her life for things. Like we get this another throwback to the 80s, a training montage, kind of like a Rocky montage that we get of 11 running this obstacle course, trying to figure out how to shave some time off, but he is still very hesitant of actually letting her do what they have planned and stuff. And you get a lot of nice heart-to-heart moments between 11 and Hopper of just kind of what he's been through, what she's been through, why he's so protective. And you do finally start seeing him loosen up a little bit, because this is ramping up to the final battle. They're trying to find Vecna so they can make sure he's dead, because they don't believe that everything is over with. And of course, once the Demogorgons start busting through and kidnapping kids, they know Vecna has to be somewhere. Right. But it was kind of really nice that you get to go back to those dynamics a bit, that you get 11 and Hopper, but you also get some more dynamics between Will and Joyce with his mom, because she is still, Will's gone through past 11 the most as a kid, because he had been kidnapped and he was in the Upside Down for so long before he came out, and he's had so many different issues from it all. She's still very protective of him. And it was a funny moment of Robin saying, the flux capacitor is broken. Like, we need to go fix this and everything else. And Joyce, being the typical mom of not knowing pop culture and stuff, it's like, okay, you just go fix that and we'll be all good. And it just there's just so many funny in jokes for those who grew up in the 80s and the 90s and stuff, of just kind of knowing how kids acted and how everything was and all the references. There was a lot of fun to be had, along with the darkness that they were really ramping up.
Yeah, they do a good job of balancing that when it's needed, I think, because obviously this is leaning more on like more serious type stuff, but there's always been humor kind of mixed in with Stranger Things as well, and I think they do a good job of letting that shine a little bit when it needs to, and not really overstaying its welcome either, because at the end of the day, this is more of a drama, action, serious kind of story with some lightheartedness mixed in with it too. Like, there's always been some humor and funny moments, but the flux capacitor one was really funny because when they see Joyce and they were like, "Oh, we got to worry." Like, I was worried about the flux capacitor, and then they were like, "Oh no!" Like, you see where they were like, "Oh God, what's happening? Why is there like what's going on with Will?" Will goes through quite a bit of a journey here in this season too, because he's always been like their lightning rod of kind of knowing when Vecna's relatively near, because he's always had like these spats where he gets incapacitated basically whenever a Demogorgon is near, or when Vecna is near. Like, they kind of know when danger's coming. He's kind of their radar for when they know, and that kind of gets hammered up here a little bit here. But you kind of dive a little bit more into that connection here between Vecna and Will, and the relationship that they have and what actually happened, because literally the first 5 minutes of the season is Will running in the Upside Down as a kid, which is kind of some neat throwback stuff that they did for that to kind of help establish that. But you get how strong the connection you get. I was calling it very heavy Harry Potter Voldemort-esque type connection here. If I were to try to find another property to compare the relationship to, this feels very much like a Harry Potter Voldemort situation, kind of the way they play off of each other and how they're interconnected. But you really see a ramp up of Will and how this connection with him and not only Vecna, but the Demogorgons here, and the visions become more prominent that he's seeing, through the POV of the Demogorgon, and he knows exactly where they are, and he can see them attacking. It's still incapacitating him, but he gets more information now. That connection is growing stronger the closer he's getting to these things, and it's a really interesting dynamic that Will goes through here as he's maturing and kind of growing in himself. And you see, like, not only the personal growth that he's going through, still trying to figure out who he is. I mean, you deal with the whole, who he actually is as a person kind of thing. And they deal with that story a little bit too. And I like the Will Robin connection that they have here, and where they can kind of lean on each other emotionally a little bit there, and it's really cool because you kind of see Robin kind of guiding Will along a little bit, because Will sees Robin doing something and he was just like, oh, there is somebody out there like me that I can kind of connect to, and you can kind of connect the dots there if you've been paying attention to Will's story at all. But I love the relationship that those two develop in this first part here, and her trying to help Will kind of realize his potential here, I think, is what you're seeing, and kind of the messaging that's going along with that. And that was a really good part for Will's story that has happened here in the first 4 episodes.
Yeah, and on the other side of that, we kind of get a kind of reintroduction or an introduction of this kind of world in between worlds, because we've always had the Upside Down, the dark and gloomy. You've had the normal life, but we get to see Holly as kind of existing in this kind of in between, because the house that was central to Eleven's story and all that is looking nice and shiny and new, and you've got the playground, and you got her dealing with Mr. Whatsit, and we do find out that's Henry, but of course that is Vecna in human form, so that ties still really into the Harry Potter, because we had Tom Riddle and Voldemort, and you got to see the back and forth between that, and we're kind of getting the same, that we're seeing how Henry is using this kind of human form, that he's tied these kids up to the spire and he's able to kind of manipulate them into this memory of his, that he can really keep them locked in here and make them believe that everyone else are the monsters and he's there to help them and he's the one protecting them. And he tells Holly, like, just stay here, stay in this house, I'll be back soon, just never go into the woods. And then, of course, very quickly after that, we get a mysterious figure shows up, knocking on the door, leaving a note for her in the mailbox that has her going through the woods to the docks, and adds another different layer of what kind of we've been wanting to see is exactly happening with the character that you've already mentioned, that we get to see. And again, this is big spoilers to everything. Max is inside of this memory. She's in this world. She's been trapped in here. And I kind of really like that dynamic between her and Holly, because she's trying to explain to Holly, like waking her up, that Henry is a bad guy. He is the monster. And this is what's going on. And we get to see her perspective of everything that's gone on with her and Vecna and the control. And you get to see the, infamous scene where she's floating in the air and how the music was bringing her back. And we got to see it from her perspective, that she's still kind of fighting to get out. Like, she's still in that coma, but she's actually trapped in this memory world of Vecna's and she can't get out. And she needs kind of Holly's help to be able to get out of this world. And I thought it's another just interesting dynamic that they added into this. Like, we were wondering, all right, is just Max going to be in a coma the whole time and we don't see anything? But we actually get that revelation that she's trapped like Holly is. So more than likely, we're not going to see Max kind of breaking free until they're able to break something of Vecna to release that hold he has on all these kids.
Yeah, and it was a really fun dynamic when they dive into that a little bit, and she starts talking about that, especially when you see just how close she came to making it out and getting out of that coma, and you see kind of the heartbreak of that, of like the tape running out of, the cassette tape running out and needing to rewind it and start it over. But there's one thing I love that they lean in heavily is the importance of music in this story, in all of these stories, and how important music is to everyone here. Obviously, with the iconic, like, Kate Bush Running Up the Hill, song from season 4, and how important it is. You see how important music is. And for Holly, it's, the 80s pop star Tiffany, who is like her favorite pop star. And, it's, you have some playful dynamics with that too. And you just love to see how, like, important music is to so many different characters here. And it's really cool to see that continue on throughout this season too. But you get kind of, now with them moving closer to finding Vecna finally, you get the revelation that the military are rounding up all the kids in the city and taking them to their extra quarantine zone in the heart of the city, and come to find out where that actually is and how that relates to the Upside Down. And you see some really cool, moments from, like, Dusty and, some of them trying to figure out where this place is and seeing how it's all connected. And it's just so smart, man. It's just such a smartly written show and smartly written story. And you get all of these, like, you get so much character development here in the first 4 episodes too, because you get Will going on his journey. You get, him having that conversation with his mom that she doesn't need to baby him as much, and he's capable of handling himself too, and he wants to do more to help. Similar to how they're working with Hopper and 11 here, where 11 is working so hard to have Hopper kind of just take the training wheels off and let her help. Like, she is this powerful being that can really help. I mean, she has one very obvious weakness that if I want to nitpick anything about the season, they kind of beat you over the head with how easy it is to subdue her, and they kind of lean into that a little too much, in my opinion. But it's one thing they've discovered is a way to kind of slow her abilities down and stop her. But she's gotten so strong in this too, and it gets really, really heavy towards the last 2 episodes too, because you get, everything kind of coming to a crescendo here, where they're trying to break the kids out and get them out. They need to be the ones to protect the kids, not the military, because they don't trust the military either, because military has their own agenda, and what are they working on? You have some of that mystery here to still kind of unravel a little bit more when you get into the second half of it. But man, we got to start talking about the last episode and just how absolutely
episode 4 was insane.
Episode 4 is, because so much happens in it.
Yeah, like before I jump into talking about episode 4, there was a couple moments I wanted to talk about in these early episodes, because you do get Erica coming back, which is Lucas's little sister, and she has always been super sassy and everything else, but she gets a moment because they're trying to figure out, all right, how do we protect Derek? How do we get him away from his family? Because they realize that they're able to see through, Vecna's able to kind of manipulate and look through eyes of people, so they've got to blindfold the family, and they got to blindfold Derek. But Erica gets just this wild, insane, that has been her characters. Like, she's been so sassy and over the top. Like, she was so good in it. But there's also like a Home Alone type of reference, because they booby trap the home after they get Derek and his family out. They booby trap everything, because they set a fake floor, and they set things to, fall, trip wires to make stuff hit the Demogorgon, and they just have all these booby traps. That was, very much a classic, like, just Home Alone type of feel to it. Like, I know there's probably other movies from the 80s that they reference with that, but that was a lot of fun. But yeah, like, we've touched on some aspects of episode 4, but that one went wild. It went crazy. That's where we get a lot of our revelations that Max is inside of this memory world of Vecna's, and she's trapped. And, we've got the kids have been rounded up, and the gang, which was a little bit of a weaker point as well, is that the gang has these secret tunnels all around town that they're able to go into. And it's, of course, to do a joke about Tom, Dick, and Harry and all that kind of stuff, and make some innuendo jokes as they're trying to figure out these tunnels of where they lead and how they can go into stuff. But it was a little bit weaker that, okay, this very secure military base, we're going to, use the tunnels we already have to break into a bathroom and bring the kids out via the bathroom. That was a little bit weaker in that as well, of just trying to figure out, well, how do a group of kids and their mom break into a military base? Because 11 and Hopper spend almost all of these first 4 episodes in the Upside Down. Like, 11 is out a little bit longer than Hopper's, because Hopper's the one who does the crawls. Like, he doesn't it's not exactly not trusting, but he's going to be the sacrificial lamb that if something goes wrong, it's going to be me that something happens to, not one of the kids, not Joyce, because we're still kind of dealing lightly with their relationship. Like, we're seeing the back and forth on that. But yeah, once things start going wrong with the rescue of the kids in that military base is when the whole episode just breaks wide open.
Yeah, it pops off in a big way, because you have them, they got Derek on the inside, and Derek is trying to help round out all the kids to get them out. He's trying to filter out the ones that could be vulnerable, because they wind up discovering that he needs 12 kids, right? He needs 12 kids to complete this, to complete the full-on hostile takeover that he wants to get. So they're trying to prevent him from getting 8, because he already got Will, he got Max, he got Holly. Like, they were all three of the ones that he had already gotten. So they're trying to save more of them from being discovered, and they're all rounded up in one central location. If they can get them out and find out the kids that were vulnerable. Part of it's funny, like seeing Derek trying to go through and just trying to talk about Mr. What's-It and see who responds and who doesn't, and kind of things. It was a little funny. I had some fun with that. And then you had mentioned earlier them just kind of sitting around acting like they were going through some breathing exercises with their eyes closed, and he's just tapping them on the head with a ruler to go run into the bathroom to escape. And it really just pops off from there, because through absurd circumstances, their location gets discovered, and the military, jumps in to try to stop them. And then you have the very real threat of not just one Demogorgon at this point, but several Demogorgons show up,
just
and
portal after portal opening up.
Yeah, and it goes absolutely crazy where they attack it's a very violent showdown between the military and our crew that's still not in the Upside Down, because by that point you not only have Hopper and 11 in the Upside Down, you also have Dusty, Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan all in the Upside Down as well. So they're once again disjointed and broken apart with half of our crew, because you don't really get them together that long before they're broken up apart again. Like you have, half our crew in the Upside Down, half of our crew is out in the real world now. And you have this insane showdown with the Demogorgons here, and it seems like at one point that all hope is lost, and then you get this ginormous reveal that Vecna is here, and he comes through the portal in the most Darth Vader-esque way I think I've ever seen something direct, because it felt very much like a Rogue One reveal.
They absolutely said that was the inspiration.
They did say
for
that
Vecna.
was the reveal, but yeah, it was just done in such a Darth Vader-esque way. Visually, the effects are awesome. I know that suit that he has to put on, because a lot of it is practical and not all of it is CGI. The suit looked like it sucks, and hats off to Jamie Campbell Bower for putting on that suit as often as he has to do to film that, because it looks like it's a pain to put on. He looked incredible as Vecna in this. He looks more menacing and just ready to just mess things up, and you get this unbelievable showdown once you get him coming in, and you see what happens here, and I'll kind of let you take it from there.
Oh, just that whole sequence was crazy, because you've got like some of the kids in the tunnels, and you've got Demogorgons popping up and surrounding them. We haven't even talked about Murray, who has some really funny moments because Murray. He's being a smuggler, and he's like, I hid the grenades in the lettuce. Like he's trying to tell these corny jokes of what he's finding and stuff, even yelling at Dusty at one point, like, you think this is, I'm Santa Claus or something bringing you a Christmas list, like, because he's wanting, like, where's my spoiler, where's my turbocharger, where's this, where's that, and like, I get spark plugs. Like, you get what you can get. But he also plays a part in the kids, because they're using his van to smuggle the kids out, but Demogorgons show up and are chasing him and Robin in that vehicle, and then you have the rest of the gang, Mike and Joyce and all them, and Will, who are on the top of just, the Demogorgons are just surrounding all of them, and Mike and the gang are trying to make their way out and around, and you get Vecna showing up, and like Mike's knocked out, and Will is down, and Joyce is standing up to Vecna and the Demogorgons and stuff, and you get her thrown, like, it's that typical kind of 80s action movie and stuff. Like, well, if I throw you, it's going to knock you unconscious immediately and stuff, which you just got to laugh that they're going into that trope of just anybody who gets thrown by a very powerful being gets knocked out. But, yeah, you get Will and Vecna face to face again. He, like, floats him up, and he's talking to him and telling him just how weak children are, and that's why they're such great vessels for me to be able to do, and like, you were the weakest because you caved so easily. And you get Vecna, just, he's already beat this kid down, but he's just emotionally just trying to destroy Will even more, and to the point where he doesn't even feel like he needs to kill Will or anybody, just drops him and goes to walk away. And you get this slow-mo of the Demogorgons are just going to attack, and then all of a sudden they're floating. Like, all right, did 11 break out and show up? No. Get the reveal that Will has powers. So you get Will looked awesome. I mean, his eyes have gone white, and he's just holding his hands up like 11, controlling the Demogorgons, but not in just one place. Every single place where they're attacking everybody, and then he just kills them all. And it ends with him wiping away the blood coming from his nose that you saw, 11 do so many different times. And now we've got Will and 11 have these powers. The same telekinetic powers and stuff. And that's going to make the rest of these episodes be really interesting, because now you not only have 11, you have Will being able to have those powers, and with Will to be able to control it and have it so quickly from like the very first time realizing but they really set that up so well. Like, you felt the tension of, is the group going to make it out this time, or is someone of the group going to die because there's no one here to protect them? And then you get the perfect music cues and just camera cuts and everything else to really do a really dramatic reveal of Will. Like that episode 4 is probably one of the best episodes of the entire series.
Yeah, it's definitely right up there too. And I kind of want to dive into that just a little bit more to kind of talk about what was so effective about it. Because I kind of alluded to it while we've been talking about it, but the whole journey Will has gone on personally, where he's the one always holding himself back because he's not sure of who he is as a person, and he's not unsure if, like it's very obvious with the way they tell the story that, Will is gay, and Will, it's the 80s, so being gay is seen as a much more negative thing than it is now. Like, it was a lot more taboo back then, but you have Will just having, not only that, but having to go through all of the things he went through with Vecna and his experiences in the Upside Down and how that may have changed him. And then what is it about, one we don't know is what is it about Will that now he has these abilities and how they've unlocked him. But I think you can kind of tell with this connection that he's had this entire time that latent ability is in there, and it's been there the entire time. And you wonder if it's because Vecna kind of imparted that on him when he took him, because you see Max potentially showing some signs of that as well, potentially, but you have Will really fully realizing it. And it goes back to the conversation that they flash back to in that sequence that before that event happens, where you have his conversation with Robin, where it's just like, this is what I went through, and this is when I learned to let go and be who I really am. And it was all about, in that moment, Will finally letting go, and none of his inhibitions are holding him back now, and he becomes just this powerful version of himself, where now his telekinetic abilities are unlocked, and he just knows what to do because he knows how to control these, because he's been seeing through their eyes how they move, how they operate, what they do, and his ability to just take them over so easily, and the fact that he is so strong mentally because of all the things that he's gone through, and he's stronger than he realizes for making it through the things that he's made it through, and him just letting go and accepting it and embracing who he is. It's a really powerful message and really well done story-wise. And a lot of the people that are being kind of negative about it, you're just like, oh, great, now he's got 11's abilities as well, too. What's the point of 11 kind of thing? And we don't really have to get into that here, but the fact that he did it and he just turned it on, it was a really, really powerful and really cool moment that just, my jaw hit the floor when it happened. I'm like, oh, God, it's Will, and he's got this, like, he's harnessed this, and he's doing this. It was a really awesome, awesome moment that's just absolutely insane.
And I think there's a lot of people that forget that 11 is 11 because she was the 11th kind of kid in this program that they were finding these powers, because not only do we get Will's reveal, we also get kind of an underlying story is that in the Upside Down version of the base, there's this vault room that they believe Dr. K has Vecna locked up in that room, which, of course, with him walking through the wall, we realize, okay, Vecna's not locked up. He's been loose. And we get a really heartfelt moment because we get, 11 and Hopper have broken into the base in the Upside Down, but we also get, like, they've been experimenting on creatures. So we got Hopper being choked by this octopus-like creature in there talking to Dr. K, who's kind of revealing everything. But we also get him revealing that he's got a failsafe. He's got a bomb strapped to his chest, and you get a really hard-hitting moment between him and 11 because he's willing to, if Vecna's in that room and he can walk in there with this bomb and kill Vecna, and that means everyone else is safe with 11 and all the kids and Joyce, he's willing to do it. And you get this really emotional scene with him just kind of walking away with the trigger in his hand and walking into the room, and you cut away and like, you don't know where they're going to end it on it, but we get a few moments later after kind of everything with Will that we get the door open. Hopper walks back out and brings 11 in, and we see the room where they think Vecna is, but we get another big reveal that her sister was from the infamous, not as liked season 2,
where the episode that everybody hates,
where she meets that there's another one. I think she was 8. That she met this other who could make everyone kind of believe different things are happening. So she has a different set of powers than 11, but she's the one that's been locked up in this room and that Dr. K has been experimenting on. And because she's got a shaved head, kind of like how all the kids did when they were in there. And you get the reveal that she's still alive, and there's something, because that was always a storyline that everyone kind of felt a little rough about because it wasn't the best. Like, she's joining this gang of people who are robbing a bunch of different people, and they're trying to kind of manipulate Eleven, and Eleven kind of grows a little bit from it, but we kind of just leave her there and don't really see her again. So we get her coming back into this. So I'm really curious what that is also going to mean, because we have 11, we have Will with powers, but now you have 8 coming back. You got her sister coming back, and with her mind powers, is she going to be the key to maybe unlocking Holly and the kids and Max out of that memory world? It's like, exactly how are they going to be able to use all of these different powers to stop Vecna? Because you got to believe that she's going to be joining the group and helping them fight and finish off Vecna. But that was another just kind of big reveal in this already insane episode. You get her being brought back after, again, like, the first season was in 2016. Season 2 was, 2018 or something like that? It's been 9 years since that series started, so it's been quite a while since we saw her in there because of just how long, it's been 9 years to do 5 seasons of the show, so it's been quite a long time since we saw her. So there's a lot that's going to be unpacked in this next group of episodes, because that's the final drop that we have on Christmas of bulk episodes. New Year's Day is the finale. It's just that one episode. So this next group has a lot to unravel, and we're hearing that it's going to explain what the Upside Down is and how it was created and what it's all about in these next group as well. So we're going to be getting a lot of heavy story information and a lot of build up to what could be a really insane finale.
Oh, they're going all out with this. Like, the first 4 episodes here are absolutely crazy. I love that they went back and kind of tied up this loose end, because that episode is notoriously panned by most people who watch the show as, like, if there's an episode you could skip of the series, it was that, because it's been up to now inconsequential to just about everything else in the story, because it felt like an unnecessary 11 side quest. They're like, was this episode really necessary? Because she really, it was just she found another one like her who was out and about in the world, which didn't really carry a ton of impact, but now you have it coming full circle, and you're like, I wonder if it's going to change the perception of everybody's thoughts on that episode now that it's kind of paying off, and you see the Duffer Brothers doing such a good job of that fan service of tying all the loose ends together, because you're really having everything come full circle now, and, you kind of wonder where they are going forward with these next few episodes, because there's so much that has to be explained and so much that has to happen in these final few episodes. Like, you said, this reveal of the Upside Down and what it is. How is this story going to end? Are we getting a happy ending out of this? Are we not? Because this show is notorious for not really ending on a positive. It's just more like a, oh God, what's happening next kind of thing. And
I'm curious how many of our main characters we're going to see die in the final battle or leading up to it.
Very possible. And I'm wondering if there's they lean so heavily, and I hate doing this, but you lean so heavily into Hopper willing to make this sacrifice, and you kind of wonder if they're going to do like a 180 of it, and if it's going to be 11 that sacrifices herself kind of thing. But I don't want to even begin to jump into the what ifs, because we still have these 4 episodes to go, but there's so much to wrap up here, because obviously you've got everybody needing to come back together for this fight. And where's the fight going to take place? Is it going to take place in the real world? Is it going to take place in the Upside Down? Where is this showdown going to happen? We don't know yet, but it's gonna be huge when this pays off. Like you said, we gotta wait until Christmas for that one, and then it's New Year's Eve for the final episode, which I love that the next day on New Year's Day they're putting it out into theaters for like a one-day showing, which is awesome. And I don't know if I'm going to go out to the theaters to see it or not, but like it's cool how they're rolling it out. But part of me wishes they just dropped the whole thing. We could have talked about all 8, because I was ready to roll by the time we got through those 4 episodes. I'm like, God, why do we got to wait for a month to get these next?
That's this thing with these that I really want. Like, I want to go back and watch the entire season as one.
Oh yeah.
When they drop it, like, I'm going to binge watch them again after
100%.
This is over, because It left you with that tension and cliffhanger that you want the rest of them to come out here. But I really want to see how the few shortcomings and pitfalls and stuff that they've had in this season of just kind of quickly moving through some of the story points, but also, like I said, bringing up Dusty being bullied over the Hellfire Club, and they're still kind of focusing on Robin's relationship, which is a lot to help Will open his eyes to a lot of stuff. But there are so many strands that are still open. Like, we need to know what's happening with the Wheeler parents. Like, we don't know what's going there. We got to resolve everything with Holly and Max in that memory world. We now have Will having power, so we have to figure that out. We've got the gang split up, and how are they going to get back together? And what is the ultimate game plan? How are they going to stop Vecna? And like you said, where are they going to fight him? Is it going to be in the lab, in the Upside Down? Is it going to be, actually take place in Hawkins, where everyone's going to see all the creatures and monsters and know exactly what's going on? Are they going to do that kind of big reveal with it? Like, there's a lot of individual stories, because you also have, Jonathan potentially has something that he needs to do or wants to do, and you just got so many threads and story points with these characters that have to be wrapped up, and we potentially have a little over 4 hours left in this world that, these episodes vary. Like, these were anywhere between like 50 minutes and like an hour and a half almost. So we don't know exactly how long these next 3 are going to be. We expect them all to be at least an hour. But you got 4 to 5 hours to really wrap up a lot of story points here. And they've done a solid job so far with these first 4. Like, I think the 4th one was definitely the best out of all of them. There was a little bit of a slow build to get us where we are, and then once it finally got to it, it really hit it hard in episode 3 and 4 of kind of moving us forward. But yeah, there's a lot to wrap up in these final 4.
Yeah, there's so much to wrap up with, but we've got another month to wait, man. We've got another several weeks, and we're just gonna sit here and twiddle our thumbs and wait until it comes out. But Stranger Things Part 1 is an incredible jump off to this final season. We've gone so far with these characters in this story, and there's just so much that happens in these first 4 episodes to kind of set up the next 2 parts that we have, and they do such a good job of moving things forward, taking a breath when you need to, and then just punching you right in the face with just an incredible 4th episode that, in both of our opinions, and I'm going to speak for you just a little bit here and just say that it's one of the best episodes of the show they've done to date, and we're very excited to see where things progress moving forward in the second and third parts of this too. What is definitely going to be an absolutely crazy finale. Like, I just got so much enjoyment out of this. It was great. Like, it felt like a world event for this to come out. This is like one of the first big must-see event that I can remember us seeing in a long, long time. Like, even going back into season 4, there was a lot of hype of it about the end, but there was something about this season jumping off finally. Maybe it was the 3-year gap. I'm not entirely sure, because it was well over 3 years, almost 3.5 years since we've gotten a brand new episodes for this, but this felt like a really big worldwide event that just got absolutely everyone talking about it. Even people that were kind of on the fence of watching it, we're interested to see what people were thinking about it. And that just goes to show the staying power of this show and why it's one of the best series to ever come out on Netflix. That's the OG original Netflix property. And it's finally coming to an end, but we've got one heck of a kickoff for this final season. I'm very excited for what's to come.
Yeah, season 5, part 1 was really solid overall. Like, it has its faults and its flaws with what it's trying to do, and it's adding some stuff in that I just don't know how it's going to have a resolution with what they need to get through and stuff. But episode 4 alone makes all of it worthwhile of what you watch, because it was just so action-packed, but it just unraveled so much stuff. It really kicked this forward into something that we still really don't know what to expect from it. Like, we don't know what we are going to be getting going forward. Even if you know Dungeons and Dragons and you're like knowledgeable of lore and different storylines and story points that they've done through that, like, there's still so much mystery that you don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know. We expect that we're going to have several people die that we care about in here. We know we're going to get an emotional gut punch, but we just don't know who or what that's going to be. Like, there's just still 4 episodes left to be broken up into 2 different releases. There's so much to do, but I'm really looking forward to, like, once I watch that 4th one, I was like, I need more after. You cannot leave me with that fourth episode really and not give me any more, because it was just so good. Like, yeah, that was absolutely one of the best, if not the best episode of the series, because it had emotion. It had like perfect music, even though, as I nitpicked and had some issues about the problems with the tunnels and breaking into a military base to take, other kids out, and just the corniness of busting water pipes and cutting a hole in the bathroom floor, and this Lucas popping up like, hey, like, it's just a guy in the bathroom staring at you like, hey, why don't you come down this hole? I got some candy down. It just kind of felt like
it very much
almost like Pennywise luring Georgie down the hole, like, or into the sewers. Like, it just came, hey, why don't you come down this hole? Mr. What's-It's down here. Like, hey.
Right. It's so silly and absurd. But yeah, man, they did a good job of getting us on the hook. We're chomping at the bit and ready for it. So fair play to them. And I'm just so excited to see what they do, because all this time now, like, you thought it was going to be 11 that stops Vecna for good, and maybe it's Will now. Maybe it's Will that's the key to finishing all of this off. We don't know. We just
when their powers combine, they become Captain Planet,
or form the Megazord. I don't know where we're going. There's so many other references in it. If we're doing 80s references, it might as well be the Megazord, right? Like, we might as well just form whatever we need to do, or Wonder Twin powers activate or something.
I mean, it definitely feels like a Wonder Twin thing, because you wonder, are they going to be able to combine their powers in some way to, like, force them, and then the other sister comes in and maybe she has enough power to go in Vecna's mind to release Max and Holly and get the kids, like, out of, like, there's so many different directions, especially when they are heavy with the references with the 80s and, pop culture and stuff. Like, what else are we going to see, and what else from the 80s is going to play an importance in here? And I still just want to touch on just how much I love that this was a new kind of vehicle for Winona Ryder to come back into. Like, she's was such a big star in the 80s and 90s and even early 2000s with stuff, and to have her be the mom and come back in such a big way in Stranger Things, like, it was just great to see her in that role and have that corny mom stuff happening with her and stuff. Like, it was just great to see her in this role, because she's really played it really well. Like, as going back and rewatching the series of the emotion and everything that she was going through in that first season of trying to find Will, and just the continuing, because there, as I touch on a little bit, there was such a great heart-to-heart for Will that was also past his conversations with Robin was a big part of his change and ability to unleash these powers, is because him and his mom finally had that heart-to-heart. Like, hey, I'm not a kid anymore. I know you're always going to be looking out for me and want to protect me and stuff, but I can fight my own fights, and that I can be my own person now and stuff. And it was a great heart-to-heart between them that was kind of really well done in that way. But there's some really solid, great moments in these first 4 episodes.
Yeah, for sure. She's been an absolute delight to watch in these 5 seasons, and it's great to see her back in a big way in this. And she's had such a good turn, and she's so funny in these. Like, she has some really solid moments in these first 4 episodes. I'm excited to see where she goes and how she helps with them in this fight as best she can, as the mom supporting everyone here. And we'll see where it goes. But all 4 episodes of Stranger Things Part 1 are on Netflix right now. Please, if you are like one of the 10 people left on the planet that haven't watched it, go watch it, check it out, come to our YouTube comments, let us know what you think about it, come to our Discord, please tell us what you think about this. We are so excited for this show that it's a month away from ending now. Like, we're about a month away from the final episodes here. Like, when this episodes drop, we'll be in December. It'll be in December, and at the end of this month, Stranger Things will be over, and I'm just so excited to see where they're going to wrap this up and how this story ends, because what a journey, man. Especially these first 4 episodes of this season, incredible, and it almost wondered how they would carry over the momentum from such an epic 4th season into this one, and they absolutely ate on this. Like, they went crazy in these 4 episodes, off to one hell of a start, and I'm excited for the end.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, because I feel like it's going to happen, is that Joyce is going to have that heroine moment like Ripley in Aliens, and like get away from her or get away from him for, hers or something. Like, I think she's going to have that kind of Ripley or Mama Weasley moment. Yeah, that she's going to just have that moment where she kind of steps up and take, because I kind of thought that was going to happen in episode 4, because she does kind of step up, but I'm just waiting for a classic like 80s action movie line, either from Terminator or Alien or something else, just to come out of her and just get that moment, especially if she gets to have it maybe against Dr. K or something else, get her to have that kind of have a really 80s one-liner moment. I'm just really waiting for her to get that big moment.
I would be remiss if I didn't like shout out the moment that she had earlier when the Demogorgon shows up to the barn to try to get Derek, and they're having that showdown there, and he busts through the door, and she gets in between the Demogorgon and the kids, and you could see Will kind of low-key maybe trying to start to control a Demogorgon, because you see her swinging the axe at the Demogorgon, and the Demogorgon, which is not really notorious for backing up too much, was backing up, and it was a really cool visual thing for her. And I kind of hope, like you said, that she gets that full-on moment where she can have that kind of impact like she did there. And
can she somehow find a big loader like from Aliens and just come out and attack the Demogorgons like big alien mother? I'm expecting some sort of moment like that to come out of. Like she's got to get that big kind of fighting moment or something that she does. But I don't even know if Joyce might be safe in this. Like it really feels kind of how we felt during the good parts of Game of Thrones, that you really don't know who might be safe, because you know someone's going to have to sacrifice himself. Someone is going to. For Vecna to be defeated, someone is going to probably lose their lives, whether it's Will or Eleven or Hopper or Joyce, like someone out of that main group. Because, we did, which we didn't even talk about, like Mike and Eleven had this big heart-to-heart moment, which is basically every finale type of moment. Like, hey, like once Vecna's gone, like nothing is keeping us here in Hawkins. We can just go somewhere else. But that also is foreshadowing, like... I don't know if that's going to happen. So one of you two might not be making it, but that's what's just like, it's also get you like, all right, I need to see what happens here and see what happens to this gang of kids, because as you said, it's been a huge part of their lives. Yeah. It's been a huge part of pop culture, but I mean, it's been 9 years for these 5 seasons. It's been a long journey for the actors, but also for the audience who have stuck around. Like it can be very difficult to keep an audience engaged and into a story when it's taking this long. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon is kind of having that same thing where it's taking multiple years, 2 to 3 years in between every season. It can be hard to hold an audience grasp, but I fell right back into it 100%. As soon as I watched that first episode.
Yeah, 100% you dive in, especially when you get that iconic dun, 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 the intro to it, and you're just like, all right, I'm ready. Like, it's here. We're watching it. We're ready to go. But, great first 4 episodes, man. I'm excited about that. And we got some, the train for us just keeps right on rolling. We got to move forward. We've got fresh stuff to cover this week, and we'll see. That's one heck of a follow-up that we have to do. A really good movie and an absolutely incredible, part 1 of a final season of a TV show. So these things we got coming up, we have the work cut out for them.
Yeah, because, you would think Wicked for Good and Stranger Things being like 2 of the biggest movies and TV show things coming out. But this week, which it could be pretty big, they listened to the fans a little bit, because the first Five Nights at Freddy's was kind of paled as being not very horror-like. They kind of tried to be a little bit more about the lore and the story, but it looks like with Five Nights at Freddy's 2 that they have gone more into the horror aspects of the game that the fans really want to see and crave. We're seeing a lot from the trailers, and even got McKenna Grace has joined the cast and everything else. And it looks like it's got a little bit more horror to it, but we're going to be reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's 2 coming up, which, Josh is from our area and everything too, so I always want to see everything that he's kind of doing still, and especially going back from him getting that big break in the Hunger Games is still, he's got that I Love LA TV show, he's got Five Nights at Freddy's, so his career is still going strong, and I'm looking forward to see how they amp up the horror aspects and stuff as well, and also very curious to see, because of who they cast as the voice of Chica, exactly how that works with Megan Fox being Chica and everything else. Like, her stuff has always kind of been paled and very critical of her stuff, and now she's joined as a voice in a horror series, but it's going to be really interesting to see if they try to play up on that or if it's a lot more subtle and darker and more horrific than maybe trying to make Chica be a little more ditzy or girly or something else. Like it's going to be really interesting to see. Like the Blumhouse has been very hit or miss on their sequels because Megan 2.0 was kind of a big miss. Black Phone 2 was very hit or miss with a lot of people. Like they haven't fully nailed the sequels right. So I want to see what they do with Five Nights at Freddy's 2.
Yeah, definitely have their work cut out for them. It's a very popular game franchise, obviously. It's got a very well built-in audience. Seems like they've listened, and hopefully we get a good story out of it. But I'm excited to check it out. You know, we love our horror movies here, so I'm excited to see how they ramp it up for the second one. If they do, we'll praise them for it, and if they don't, we'll let them know. We'll let them know for sure.
We'll also be reviewing Jay Kelly, which drops on Netflix on December 5th. So this is one that's been getting a lot of buzz for George Clooney's acting, but also Adam Sandler. It looks like another kind of mostly serious role where he gets to show off his acting chops, because even though he's done quite a lot with Adam Sandler doing Punch Drunk Love and Reign Over Me and Uncut Gems, like he's shown that he's got those dramatic chops, but every time you see him do something more dramatic and serious, you're always kind of surprised that you're getting that kind of performance out of Adam Sandler, and he's getting a lot of early big buzz out of this film.
Yeah, I'm excited to check this one out too. I don't have a ton of knowledge about this film to go into, and I kind of like that. I kind of like not knowing what to expect about it. I loved Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems is a fantastic movie. Obviously, he's so iconic for his comedy films, but it looks like he's got the ability to do some dramatic roles as well, and I'm excited to see Jay Kelly and see, you know, how that goes, and I'm excited to talk about it because that's going to be another fun one to talk about.
But that's going to do it for this episode. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio room on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.